Hakkiyoi listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton, welcome to the podcast. Well, Fight of the Year episode. Don't forget to join me on X or Twitter at Let's Learn Sumo. This is a video episode. I will re-record this for audio only. So if you want to listen on the audio version with a bit more description of the fights, you can go just to the podcast. But this one is specifically for the YouTube channel. We're going to do it a bit different this year to last year. We're actually going to watch some of the video. So welcome to the roundup of 2024. It's going to be a little bit different. This year I'm going to do my most memorable moment, of course, some brutal fights from the year, and even my favourite Kimarite of the year. So a few fights have made Fight of the Year. There's plenty of fights that could have made the list, but we just, time being everything, I've chosen my top 3 fights of the year. Anyway, out of nearly 1,800 bouts for the year, there are others that could have made the list, and I'll go through some of those as highly commended. You can go and find and watch yourself if you get a chance to do. Anyway, so let's get into it. My first fight for most memorable fight of the year, or the most memorable moment for 2024. Well, look, it's been an historic year. We've had a rookie win for the first time in over 120 years, and winning the Basho as a rookie, or as a debutant. So Takeda Fuji won in March, and unfortunately doing so on day 14 when he was fighting Asaniyama. He lost to Asaniyama. He damaged his ankle, pulled some ligaments, and we haven't really seen the return of his full powers yet. Hopefully January in 2025 we'll see him back to form and fired up. So let's have a look at that fight that gave him the Basho in March of day 15 versus Goniyama. So you can see his right ankle was heavily strapped, and you can also see he wasn't using a lot of power in that right ankle as he got a good wide stance going, but you could see most of the power was in his left leg. That was the Basho. That was the one that gave him the win, day 15 versus Goniyama. My most memorable moment for the year. So, on to some of the brutal fights for 2024. Here's the first one. January 2024, our Ozeki Kirishima, he is in full power mode, he's doing well, and comes to meet Terunofuji on day 15. Now, he's looking for promotion out of this fight to get him to Yokozuna. He's looking to win the Basho. He's looking to show his dominance, maybe, or the fact that he can compete against the Yokozuna. Well, this is how it went. This one is Daisho versus Hoshoryu. Well, I'll tell you what, you want to see a brutal ending to a fight? This is a fairly brutal ending. Let's have a watch. Well, it's about that trying to rip someone's head clean off as you throw them from the ring. It was quite a brutal finish. Daisho, he's been known to throw some pretty hard thrusts in his time, but Hoshoryu, I think he taught him a lesson there. Tried to rip his head clean off his shoulders. Okay, on to our third brutal fight. This one is Hiratoumi and Daisho yet again. How's that for brutal? If you want to show someone sumo and show them how physical a sport sumo really is, this is the fight to show them. To be honest, this was actually in my fight of the year list. It was a really good bout, super physical, lots of brutality there in terms of the clashes. Why didn't it make fight of the year? Look, the ending where he steps to the side, I think it was probably a pretty good move by Daisho. It's up there. It's one of my highly commended, but it's in the brutal fights of the year. So on to Kimarite of the year. Well, look, we've had a lot of pretty good Kimarite this year. Some trips, some interesting throw techniques, kirikaeshi, and a few others, but I don't think we can go past this one. This was the November tournament, Hoshoryu versus Kirishima. Suridashi, a lift out. I don't think we can go past this one. So let's watch the NHK broadcast this one. Raja Pradhan is the commentator.
Exploding in, both hands inside for Hoshoryu. He lifts out Kirishima with authority. What about unbelievable outing, showing his sheer power is co-leader Ozeki Hoshoryu.
Can't go past that one. That's a pretty effective lift out, and I think to lift a 150 kilo man, I tell you what, that's a fairly humiliating loss for Kirishima. As I said, to get lifted and thrown out like that, or literally lifted out, is for someone so senior to allow themselves to get in that position, that's quite a loss. Anyway, let's move on to fight of the year. We've got 3 contenders. My third runner-up, Terunofuji versus Wakamoto Haru. Now remember, Wakamoto Haru had a chest infection, RSV, back in November of 2023, and as a result, he was really sick and lost, had a losing record for November, fell back from Sekiwake back to Magashira 1. Now remember, Magashira can earn a kinboshi against a yokozuna, but if you're in Sanyaku, so Komusubi, Sekiwake, or Ozeki, and you beat the yokozuna, you don't get a kinboshi. Now remember, a kinboshi is a highly sought after prize because it gets you both some status, and it also gets you a pay bump permanently. Every kinboshi earns you a little jump on that formula for Rikishi being paid. So it's well worth their time, and Wakamoto Haru, falling back to Magashira 1, takes a kinboshi against Terunofuji. Now, this was a really good fight. Terunofuji in January was in pretty good power. Remember, he won the Yusho for Wakamoto Haru to show the defense he did and to have a good offense against the yokozuna. To me, this is one of the fights of the year. Okay, on to our second runner-up. Again, Terunofuji, the yokozuna, versus Ura, our wiggly Ura. This was a good fight. It was a pretty close run thing. This was in Nagoya in the summer tournament. So remember, The Yokozuna didn't show up showed up for March and was obviously injured and went to Kyujo, didn't show up in May, came back in Nagoya, was doing pretty well there too. So remember, he did take that Yusho. So the Yokozuna, he was 6-0 coming into this fight against Ura. Ura I described in this fight as the wiggly toddler you're trying to change a nappy on. He tried everything. He even made the Yokozuna panic at one point. So let's have a watch of this one. Again, NHK commentary by Raja Pradhan, excellent commentator. Let's watch it.
Ura comes in low, cannot stop Yokozuna's charge. Ura yanking on the Yokozuna's arm, but Yokozuna gets the separation. Ura attacks very well against the Tenno Fuji. Tenno Fuji keeps up the pressure, but Ura escapes. Ura circles away, goes deep inside on Tenno Fuji. But Tenno Fuji gets the main weapon, the over-the-top wate, but he loses the grip. Ura attacking with speed, but Tenno Fuji catches Ura. And Ura is now half banzai position. Tenno Fuji waiting to go in for the kill, and Ura's quest to defeat Tenno Fuji comes up.
So here we are at the fight of the year, Wakataka Kage versus Onosato. Why have I chosen this fight? Why is this the best fight out of 1,800 fights? Look, there are a lot of contenders, but this fight, to me, shows simply how good Wakataka Kage is. He was in deep trouble 3 times in this fight, and he recovered. He nearly lost his balance and went down forward. He nearly got pushed back over the bales, but when he was up against the bales, almost going over, he found a way to get onto the belt of Onosato and win. So Abima covered commentary here in Japanese, so let's watch the fight.
一気に攻め込んでもろ差し、これは苦しくなった小野里。逆襲、勝ったのは若隆景。大野里止まりました。初黒星。少々最後は。
How is that for a fight? That is one of the better escapes you will ever see in sumo. Fantastic technique there by Wakataka Kage. So I think that was pretty much one of the best fights of the year, if not the best fight from me. There were plenty of others that were on the list. I've got a few here. Terunofuji versus Daisho in July was a pretty good fight. An Iwata Dashinage, so an open belt throw there. So there are 2 matches that I probably should point out. One of them in November versus some of the lower ranked guys, Onakatsu and Shishi. That was an epic bout of a belt grapple. Really went for quite a while. It was a very good fight. I think that one is certainly a highly commended. And I would think Meisei versus Daisho in May on day 12. I think Meisei somehow recovered across the bales a couple of times, did a pirouette, and got Daisho out Sukadashi. Really highly commended fight, that one. But for me, Wakataka Kage and Onosato, that is, for me, the fight of the year if you want to show someone a good fight. Certainly Daisho and Hirodumi, if you want to show a pretty brutal fight to somebody, that's a good one. So, fight of the year, what do you think? Do you have a favourite fight? Let me know in the comments. Did you see one that maybe I've not looked at and I should go back and look at? Anyway, that's it for 2024. I hope you've enjoyed the sumo. I've taught you a little bit about sumo to help you enjoy the sport over the last 12 months. I've certainly enjoyed watching it. My highlight for the year was going to the Basho in September in Tokyo. I'm hoping to go to the end of the September tournament again next year in Japan. That's in the plan. I hope you'll join me again in January. We'll resume normal service, back onto the podcast a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed this and you've enjoyed these fights. Hopefully YouTube doesn't knock it off. They are under the fair use policy for NHK and Abima TV in news, commentary and analysis. Thank you for joining me. Hakkiyoi listeners, let's learn sumo.
Hakkiyoi! Hakkiyoi!